I love our Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. meetings.
I literally race home to get
we
to
literally just giggle from the get-go, don't we? We literally just giggle from the get-go. So, ladies and gents, welcome back to another week of Girlie Giggles. They're taking the mick because I've just had a nice tea, a nice herbal tea been delivered to me. So they're taking the mick out of me.
Princess.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I deserve to be treated like a princess today. I feel it. So how are we both?
Good.
Groovy.
Groovy and the gang.
Yeah.
We like that. So we were having a brief little chat before we jumped on, weren't we? Just, having a little catch up. We love to share a little bit of a tidbit. We like to, tell each other what's been going on this week. But I think it's really important this week that we cover off the subjects that we want to cover off. But I just want to tell the men, please do not switch off now. Please stick around, because if you've got daughters, you've got a girlfriend, you've got a wife, you've got a mother, you've got a whatever, you need to be listening to this, particularly dads with girls. Okay, I would really, really recommend that you stick around, because although we're going to have lots of giggles, because we'll have a little bit of a giggle first, but I really do want to make sure that we touch on the subject of periods and bras and like sanitary towels, Tampax, things like that. So it doesn't matter how old you are, whether you're past your periods or not, we need to be having this discussion. So first and foremost, let's do this in a bit of a light-hearted way, ladies.
As always.
Maxine, underwired bra or non-underwired for the best part of your life?
Oh, most of my life, underwired.
Okay, great. Same with you, Don?
Me too.
Well, with your big wangers, it's not...
Yeah, you needed them.
Exactly. I had to save my kneecaps.
Honestly, I don't know why.
Gifted.
My left eye is itching a little bit right at the moment. I don't know why. So clearly...
Donna's probably poked you in the eye.
So I want to be honest with you as well. Like, let's really talk about boobs. Let's get started with the boobs, because the men will love it. So... I used to have double D boobs. Like, I'm really open about it. I used to have these double Ds. I don't know where they've gone, but I used to have double Ds, and I used to have to wear underwear, a bit like you, Donna. Like, I'm really lucky. TMI, maybe. The 6 o'clock watershed. I think we're going to have to start putting our videos out later,
After 9, yeah.
So, I'm really lucky. I've always had really, really firm, pert boobs, but they were big. Like, they were big. I had these big, big, big boobs. And so I always wore underwear. And I'm going to be honest with you, like, my mum wore underwear, my sister wore underwear, all of my girlfriends wore underwear. So I never saw a problem with it. Maxine, you don't need to go into as much detail as I just did, but could you share a little bit?
Oh, I'm quite happy to. So I had little boobs, but my friends were all big. And the only way I could make mine look bigger was, I can't remember what they were called now. There was a famous bra that you used to buy.
Wonder bra.
There we go. You two remembered it then.
Yeah, God knows why. I've never worn one. I've always wanted to.
Well,
so I used to buy the Wonder bra.
They always had really great boobs. They looked perfect, didn't they?
They used to squash them into the middle so you had a cleavage. And then I'd wear an extremely tight T-shirt and walk around like that.
Yeah.
So people could see it. And I'd wear them until they died. Yeah. They start off this brilliant white for a week. They'd be grey. I'd have to hide the straps because they were quite expensive.
Yeah, they were.
They weren't cheap, No. So when you got a new one, you had to get a new white T-shirt to go out in the street, standing at the bus. I could stop buses with them. That's how good they were. But then when I had the kids, my boobs stayed I was a double D then.
Oh, wow.
And I still wore underwear. I just didn't need to wear the Wonder bra. But I still wore the underwear because my clothes looked nicer in an underwire bra. And I could never find one without a wire that looked nice. I mean, now you can. But then, 21 years ago, you couldn't find nice bras without the underwire. They always seem to make a special effort with underwire bras, with like little flowers on and bits and pieces, matching pants.
Yeah.
More attractive.
Yes, that's it.
And what's so funny, I've read something recently that apparently a woman decides she's having sex if she wears matching underwear.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. So I've written down the word.
I haven't got any matching underwear.
Well,
but I have been single for quite some time.
Maybe that's where you need to get back on the...
well, best pop out shopping.
12th of April, my love. I think things are opening, aren't they?
Oh, they'll be queuing somewhere else now.
So I've written down the word clothes because I want to come back to it, because I think you've actually raised a really valid point, Maxine. It's very difficult to find clothes for anything other than bras that like actually hold you up. So I'm going to come back to that a little bit later. So if I forget, I've shared that with you guys. So Dons, let's hear about your big booblies.
So my boobs, it's hilarious actually. Funny enough, talking about this to my daughter this morning. I don't know why, but it wasn't to do with this tonight, but we were in the bathroom. She came in the bathroom, was putting my makeup on, and she said something about boobs. And I said, yeah. I said, do you know what? I said, when I was 12, I had no boobs. I was flat, and all the girls were getting boobs at school. And I honestly believe that I was a good manifester in those days without knowing it, Luce, because I wished so hard that I could wear a bra, because everyone else had bras and I had nothing to put in a bra. So I wished and wished and wished, and every night I went to bed and wished. And then suddenly, one day, I had double Ds, and I wished I hadn't wished quite so hard. Honestly, this is how it happened. It was almost like overnight. I was flat as a pancake, couldn't wear a bra. Next day, I had the biggest bra of the whole year at school, and I'm the other extreme. And actually, when I was pregnant with my daughter, Melody, I went up to an F cup. And honest to God, I was breastfeeding, and I remember looking down one day and thinking, oh my goodness, my boob is bigger than her head. Like, and honestly, I remember just thinking, please let them go down. Please let them go down after the milk goes.
Sticking with those, my goodness, you must have
honestly,
had that.
I kid you not. It was awful. It was awful. But luckily, they went down to a nice little double D. I call them little because they were little compared to what I had. They went down to a lovely little double D.
Yeah, I can't even begin to think about what an F cup would look like, let alone feel like.
Well, I don't think I'll be able to look at Melody's head quite the same from now on.
I mean, admittedly, as a baby, she had a little
even
head,
though she was 21.
Honestly, I used to literally look down and think, oh my goodness, don't let me that fall onto that baby's head.
Oh my goodness, suffocation.
Honestly.
My breasts.
Huge. So underwires had always been something that I'd worn, always.
Of course. Yep. Okay, so ladies and gents, you may be wondering, why the hell are we talking about boob sizes, bra sizes, underwiring? And if you remember rightly, in our video last week, which I'm going to share just above here now, actually, I mentioned, like, right at the end, we started talking about periods, and we started talking about things that perhaps are not, maybe not right for our healing. So, the predominant part of the video last week was around our healing journey, wasn't it? The start of our healing journey, how we basically met each other, and some top tips that we could give people, some tangible stuff that they could go away with and do. Now, I really loved that last week, and we've got some incredible feedback off the back of it. So if you haven't watched it, please go and watch it after this video. But that's what I wanted to do again this week. And I know, obviously, because we are like soul sisters, and Maxine, you've had my bottom pretty much in your face in a thong. I feel
it's lovely.
Yeah, it's a purred little bottom. I think that we can just have these conversations really openly and honestly. And, like I said, I really hope that the guys are sticking around to hear this for their daughters, because I'm not sure if any of you guys know, and I'm not sure how well publicized this is, but underwiring bras can actually lead to breast cancer.
Yeah, I only found that out recently. Yeah.
So what we need to be doing here is we need to be, again, raising the consciousness on these subjects. I unknowingly, for 35 years, wow, actually, that's a complete lie. I didn't have boobs at 0, let's be honest about it. But up to the age of 35, I wore underwire bras constantly. Between the age of 35 and 36, 37-ish, all I lived in was a bikini. Even when I came back to the UK, I would wear a bikini top underneath my stuff because I was just such a traveller at that point. And then what happened was, obviously, I got back into corporate and I went back to the underwire because that's what you know. And people might be sat there thinking, well, I couldn't live without an underwire bra. So tonight I want to give us a couple of options. And Donna obviously has big boobs, so I'm going to come to you. But obviously, Max and I now have, well, I've got small boobs. I don't know what size you are these days, Max, but I'm about
I'm only a C now.
Oh yeah, see, I'm smaller. I'm the smallest. I'm the smallest. Although they really did grow very recently, didn't they? They were like this. What?
Yeah.
I was having a phantom pregnancy, I think. That's another story. So I think let's talk around sports bras to start off with, because we all wear a sports bra from time to time. I'm not going to show you now, but I actually wear a bra that is not, it's got no underwire at all. And it's kind of like a sports bra, but it's a proper bra. But we'll get to that in a bit, because I don't know what you guys wear these days, but sports bras. How do you feel in sports bras? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like you know everything stays in the right place? Are they not good? Because what I'm looking for here is to give our listeners some options as to what they could wear, because there's some really cute sports bras out there these days. There really is, and they don't have the underwire.
No,
I've struggled with sports bras.
Okay.
Purely because they made me look completely flat-chested.
Right.
The ones I bought initially, really comfy, but I felt like an old woman when I went out, because I went from looking quite nice in a t-shirt to, oh my God, she's lost weight. And I'm already sticking sex size. But then I went to...
we call you Twiglet.
I like that one. I went to a shop in Nottingham city centre, really expensive for sports bras. It was about 75 quid for this one I bought, but it was the best one ever. And that was similar to yours. It fastened at the back like a normal bra, but it was so comfy and it felt feminine.
Yeah,
but it's a hell of a lot of money to spend.
Yes, it is.
On something that I've got to wear every day.
And how did it feel and look under clothes, babe?
Different. Obviously, I was used to wearing sticky out bras.
Yeah.
But once I got used to it and how comfortable I was, my clothes sort of started to fit better.
Good.
Because I got used to wearing it. It's only because it was something different.
Yeah.
That I thought, oh, I don't look very feminine. I look like a guy. But once I got it on and I realised I could actually run up and down the road without them wobbling all over the place, which I did at the neighbours like this, all the way up and down the road. I actually quite liked it. So I've now got 3 of those, although they have come down in price.
It's interesting what you say, because I've actually changed the way that I dress because I've changed my bra.
Do you know, I think I probably did. I think that's why the clothes were better.
Yeah, and what I find, and Donna, you can vouch for this because you're around me so much, but I tend to just wear these really beautiful, particularly in the summer, just these beautiful, like loose, like almost like t-shirt kind of things, but like with no sleeves. And because I've got such small boobs these days, like they almost just fall quite nicely.
Well, the thing is as well, when I used to, obviously I was a solicitor for all those years, we had to wear a shirt and a suit jacket. And a sports bra under that, no, would never have gone. Yeah. So that was why I think I stuck to the bras, the underwire bras, for so long. Because it was a whole look you had to have.
Back then, did you know how detrimental underwire bras could be?
No. I had no clue till I met you.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I'd literally, before I met you, bought a sports bra, but it didn't fit right and I felt like a bloke.
Yeah, of course.
So, and then obviously once you started talking, I thought, all right, I'm going back and getting some more.
Yeah.
And I haven't touched underwire since.
Yeah.
And so that's what, 3 years.
Yeah, it's extremely important. I'm going to get Donna to share hers, but then I want to kind of like just talk about where they sit and what they press on, and like really where they can get the build up, because I think it's really important. First and foremost, ladies, you should be checking your breasts every day without fail. You know, like there's certain times of the month they're going to naturally feel lumpy, and obviously by checking them every day you're going to know when they feel a bit lumpy, and you know that's normally around the time of the month, or when you normally would have your time of the month. But I just want to make sure that we are touching on these subjects, because not enough people are talking about them. Not enough people are raising the consciousness on this, and this is what this is. This is about you healing. This is about you recovering from whatever it is that could potentially happen. Now, just before I hand over to you, Donna, and get your perspective on sports bras, babe, I would just like to say, breast cancer isn't only from underwire bras. I just want to make that very, very clear. It can implicate you. However, breast cancer is all about receiving and giving love. So if you can receive love really well, but you can't give it, you potentially could get the emotional trauma for breast cancer in one of your boobs, and likewise the other way. Now, most women will give it, but not take it. Oh, don't worry, I've got that. Oh, don't worry, I can do that. Oh, no, I don't need you to do that. Oh, don't worry, I'll do the kids. Oh, don't worry, I'll make a cup of tea. Oh, what would you like for like, it's give. So it's very difficult to receive.
And inside they're actually seething because they can't say, please, can you do it? Yeah.
Exactly. Vulnerability. And this is very much around breast cancer. And I wanted to touch on the energetics behind it, because I know that I've got a lot of followers that have either had breast cancer and they've had a conversation with me, and, you know, they obviously know this. But for those people out there, there is always an energetic issue behind every single lump, bump, dis-ease that you have in your body. So with breast cancer, very, very much about nurturing. Like, that's what we do, right? Like Donna was saying earlier about her feeding Melody and scaring that she was going to suffocate her. It's all about nurturing. We are given boobs so that we can allow babies to feed. You know, it's the predominant reason why we've been given them. So that is why it's all about love and about nurturing. If you can't nurture yourself, like, there's a potential that something is going to go on there. If you cannot nurture other people, like, some people can take it but not give it. You know, I know a lot of people like that, which is interesting for me, because I used to be the other way. Now I can take and receive, give and receive. You know, but before, I used to be a real giver, and I never used to be able to take it, you know. And quite interestingly, in April 2000 and maybe 11, something around that time. Oh no, 13 maybe. I actually had, I think it was April 2017. Shit, I can't even say my dates. 2014 April, I had in my left-hand side, I had a breast cancer scare. I had to go and have like biopsies and stuff done. That absolutely links to, you know, not being able to give and receive. So, sorry, I think it was in my right breast actually, and I couldn't receive. I could give, but it was in my right breast, and right breast is receiving. Okay, so for anybody out there, that's just a little bit of an insight. So for me personally, I'm extremely passionate about this, My sister and my older sister has had a number of scares. I believe my mum has had a scare. I know loads of people that have had cancer in their breast. I know lots of people that have had to have their breast removed. And so I just really wanted to open up this subject to make sure that everybody is gaining a little bit of understanding, even though I can't spit my words out this evening. You know, it's just good to be raising the consciousness on this.
On one point on checking.
Yeah.
There was a study done ages ago. It's just come back to me now that more people had positive tests in winter than in summer.
Wow.
Because, and I had to look into this, because it's cold, we don't want to take all our clothes off and check them.
Yeah, of course.
So the only time you're going to do it is when you've got out a boiling hot shower.
Yeah.
And they tell you the best time to check is first thing in the morning. Yeah. It's too cold. You literally get out of that shower, you put your clothes on when you're still wet. You're trying to pull your trousers up, and you obviously haven't dried yourself properly. And that was a study they did. And it was quite a few years ago, before I met you, that more positive tests come through in winter because people don't check. So what they said was, when you get into bed at night and you're all snuggly and warm, do your whole arm above your head and do it that way, because even that way you're doing some form of test.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Maxine. That's a really helpful tip. Thank you. See, this is why these conscious conversations are so important. You know?
It just literally came back to me then, and I thought about it because winter is too cold.
My love. Thank you very much, guys.
Always.
Thank you. So, Donna, big boobs.
So
let's hear about your experience.
So I have found now 95% of my life now is spent in sports bras. Because I'm, you know, especially in lockdown, I've just been living in slobbies. And actually, since I've worked from home, I tend to wear sports bras most of the time. The ones I find are really good for us bigger breasted ladies is Gymshark. They're not they're a little bit expensive, but they're not as expensive as the ones that you were talking about, Max. And if you buy them at the right time when they're on offers, you can get them for as little as sort of 15-20 quid, which is not too bad. But I find they're really, really good. They're really soft. They give you quite a nice shape. And I really, really like them. Yeah, and I really, really like them. The other one that I found,
they support you.
Yeah, they do. Believe it or not, they do. I've not knocked myself out yet, which is good, right? I've not had any black eyes, and I do a lot of jumping around, as Lucy will say. Lucy will vouch. I do a lot of jumping around at kids' club, and they've not hit me in the face, so it's all good. The other one that I found quite good. I don't know what they're like now because I haven't bought them for a while, but Marks and Spencer's actually used to do quite a nice one. Quite a nice one, yeah, and it actually gave you quite a nice shape as well.
Well, if you can get a sports bra for under 30 quid,
yeah,
that's cheaper than a bra, because most of my bras I bought were 35-40 quid.
Yeah,
exactly.
Every time.
Exactly.
That's what
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found they were quite good. And so now I do spend most of my time in sports bras. Now I've got to be honest, if I go out for an evening, I may still wear an underwire, but it will be for a very limited time.
I've still got 2 underwire bras for certain dresses I've got if I go out. But I haven't been out in about 3 years.
Off when I get back through the door, because I actually now I haven't worn them for so long, find them really uncomfortable. So actually I can't wait to get them off. I'm literally we'll come home when we could go, exactly, when we could go out, I'm literally walking through the door, like taking it off, you know how we do down our arm. Why we do that I don't know, you know.
Oh, mine's in the taxi.
Down the arm shuffle.
Lucy's before she gets in the taxi.
You know me too well. As soon as I'm not in public anymore, I'm like, whip that right off.
Everything.
Yeah, it's got to come off.
Well, maybe not everything.
Oh, I don't know.
Let's save that for special people, Max.
Excellent.
So let's talk about, so do you ladies have, other than a proper sports bra, do you ladies have any kind of like dainty looking things like this? I'm not getting them out, boys, but you know.
Yeah, I have got a couple.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually met a lady, I don't know, years ago now, and do you know what? She kept wearing these like low backed tops, and I was like, I freaking love the back of your bra, like I love it. And all of them had no underwire, and that is actually what got me into wearing bras with no underwire. However, every now and again I do wear a bra with an underwire, right? I don't like it. Literally as soon as I put it on, I feel restricted and stuff. So I just think, you know, if you're going to wear one, make it little and often.
Exactly.
You know, because like none of us are perfect. Like, I don't profess to be perfect. I know this stuff. I coach people on this stuff, but I still put one on from time to time. So do not give yourself a hard time. Likewise, if you cannot afford to go out and buy a new bra and, you know, you've only got underwire bras, please don't beat yourself up about it. Just make sure that you take it off as much as possible, pop on a proper sports bar as much as possible, like massage your boobs as much as possible, come down and, you know, and up, and just allow the lymph nodes to be able to, you know, get a little bit of massage, for want of better words. So, and that is the main issue with underwiring, is that we're holding our boobs and it is restricting, but then we're also pressing on these bits here, which is what blocks up our lymph nodes and our glands. Okay. So, you know, some people you see in their bras are pressing in so tight. I cannot say to you, having a well-fitted bra is essential. Yeah. Us girls don't value our boobs enough. Like, literally.
I never used to. No. I used to buy the cheapest underwire bra possible, which didn't last very long. I'd have grooves here where, because I got it so tight to make my boobs look bigger, that I took skin off, you know, and I'd just have to flip the straps off on the way home, because I couldn't afford to spend a fortune.
No. And this is the thing. Like, I think education is key. You know, education is really, really important. And there are some really cute ones. You know, there are, but it's about...
There are now,
Which is why, for me, if any men are watching and they've got daughters and they're like 11, 12, bear this in mind, you know, because the starter bras don't have underwiring. No, but what we need to do is we need to educate our girls. Like my little sisters, they will know everything. They will know everything. Luckily, they're really inquisitive and they ask me about everything constantly. So obviously we have a really beautiful conversation about it. But you need to take the initiative with your children and let them know that there are alternatives. And remember, you know, if we can just allow them to have that flow constantly rather than any pressures, there will be no risk if something happens that it is from the bra. Mm-hmm. You know, really important subject, I think. Not enough people talk about it. So clothes do look better with underwire. Clothes do look better with a little bit of a bump. I get it. However, I'd rather be comfortable and I'd rather have my health than looking pretty these days. I'm going to be honest with you. But again, it's down to personal choice. You know, it's down to personal choice. So let's talk about the next taboo subject of periods.
Next.
I think, I know. Bras, tick. Now let's go to periods because we haven't got quite enough naughtiness today. So Maxine, talk to me about, because this is actually where it stemmed from. You were talking about your periods last week and I went, oh, we need to talk about this. We need to share this information. So you start and then we'll go to Donna and then we'll come to me. Let's just talk about what our cycle either used to be like or is like now.
So I didn't start my periods until I was nearly 16. And I wanted to start them because I felt alien, basically, because everyone in the class had already started and I was called all sorts because I hadn't started. Now I'd like to go into schools and tell them, God, the later the better. You know, don't worry about it. You're still all right. You can wear whatever you like. So from 16 onwards, I had really, really heavy periods. To the point where, and I used to wear sanitary towels, because it would be pointless wearing a tampon because literally it would be full. So in my school bag, still remember my school bag, I would have a whole pack in a day for school. That's how bad it was. And I used to have clots and everything. And whenever my mum took me to the doctors, they said, oh, when you have children, it will be easier, which was a load of crap because I had kids and they were even worse. So my dad, I remember my dad, who was brilliant with this sort of thing. If he was still alive now, he'd think this was the most amazing conversation to share because he talked about it all the time. And he took me to the doctors and they said, put her on the pill. It'll calm down. So I did go on the pill, which gave me serious migraines. And it didn't really slow them down. No. I knew exactly when I was going to have one. That was the only advantage. Because I could be on a period for 3 weeks at a time and only have a week off.
Wow.
And that went on for years. And then I had a miscarriage. I didn't even know I was pregnant, to be fair. The poor guy got a shock that morning. And I had a miscarriage. And after that, I did phone him and tell him when I found his phone number. It wasn't that bad. Actually, yeah, it was. I've lived a life, I tell you.
And after the miscarriage, promiscuous, eh?
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll talk about that another day because that's quite a long subject. Yes, after the miscarriage, my periods quietened down, so I didn't lose as much. And they'd actually given what was called a DNC at the time, which is scraping of your womb.
Yeah.
So for a good 3 or 4 years after that, life was bliss. So I could use tampons then.
Wow, that's interesting.
But then they gradually came back worse. And then when I had the kids, after I'd had Sophie, it was horrendous. After I had George, they started to slow down. And then obviously hit the menopause. So I've been 8 years. But I've normally always used sanitary towels.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Maxine. That was really helpful. And I resonate a lot with what you spoke about, which is really, really interesting. So, Dons, let's go over to you. How was your periods? And
very
because you've been a good
actually.
girl, Donna, haven't you? Happily married and stuff.
Can I say?
Golden child.
Yeah, right. We won't go there. So I was very different.
Still happily married.
Yeah, I might add. Let's add that. So for me, it was very different. I was 13, my first, and my periods were regular as clockwork. They were on the day, literally all my life. I could not wear tampons. I didn't wear them to begin with when I was younger. And then when I got to, I think it was probably about 17, I desperately wanted to wear tampons. And I tried for about a week, but my body just rejected them. My body didn't want them. So I stopped. So actually, I've never used tampons at all through my life. My periods were pretty normal as well. When I say normal, I mean what's normal, but they were kind of 4 or 5 days. I had one heavy day, the rest was pretty light. So mine were pretty normal-ish, you know, if you like to lose that word normal, whatever that is. And then when I had Melody, just before I had Melody, I was about 35 when I had Melody. I was 35. My periods had got a bit strange. They'd gone a little bit AWOL, in as much as they had got a little bit heavier. Then I had Melody. I had a cesarean when I had Melody. And actually, after having her, my periods went back to being very steady again and very, you know, yeah. And then to be honest, for me, when the menopause hit, they messed around for about a year. And then finally went away because I unfortunately had to have my ovaries removed. So after that, obviously my periods dried up. But for me, I had a pretty easy time of it. When I talk to my girlfriends, pretty easy time with my periods.
Yeah, it sounds it, to be honest. And
you see, I blame mine on being a total slapper for several years. I wasn't settled in a nice relationship. I was just a complete slapper.
It's funny you say that though, Maxine. What we basically do is we take out our trauma on our womb. That's what you've done. Is you literally, you wanted attention, you wanted love, you wanted this, and you thought you would find it in sex. I resonate with that very much.
Yeah,
totally.
Of course.
You know, like I
think we all do.
I used my womb because I was looking for love, but I was too in my divine masculine to allow my vulnerability to allow me to find love.
Exactly. That was exactly me.
And
which you told me after. I didn't know at the time, but yeah.
Good at this game, aren't I?
Yeah.
So from my perspective, just so that you guys, just so that we're really, really clear, because it's 3 different perspectives and it's so helpful for other people out there. I was very like Maxine, in the sense of my periods were heavy. At the age of 20 was the first time that I started consistently bleeding every day of every month. And I actually had that all the way up till 2018. Not every month, but some months I would literally start bleeding and not stop. My normal periods would be 5 days. I'd have a light day to start off with, 3 pretty heavy days, and then a light day the other side, and it would just be boof gone. But what I had was fibroids, polyps, and eventually tumours, which obviously caused a hell of a lot of disruption in that area. However, very much like Maxine, you know, I used to, when I eventually lost my virginity, didn't lose my virginity until I was 16. I started my periods when I was about 14.
Oh, I was the same, 16.
Yeah, I lost my virginity at 16, and I'm very open about it. People say to me, did you? You know, but I'm like, no, I did. Genuinely, I did. And I'll never forget it because my parents split up. And literally it was, you know, a few weeks after my 16th birthday, I just started going out. And of course, what happens, you start drinking alcohol, and that's what happened. Like, I was such an innocent child because I had horses. Like, horses were my life. And you know, I was just in this beautiful family setup. You know, I was so lucky. And then all of a sudden my family split up and I grew up overnight, boom. And that's where all of my insecurities came from. And I'll be honest, like Maxine, I took it out on my womb. I was holding and harboring sexual trauma in my womb. But of course, none of us know that. So if you are harboring any kind of sexual trauma whatsoever, you will see inconsistencies in your periods. You will see polyps or fibroids or certain things like that coming up. It's emotional trauma that needs to be healed. Okay, likewise, Donna, you know, we've done the work on your ovaries and stuff like that. Yes. It's all emotional trauma.
Yeah.
So, like I say, at 20, I had to have my first removal of fibroids and polyps, 20 years of age. And then I had to have 4 operations over the years, and until obviously 2018, where the tumours grew, and I actually almost hemorrhaged to death. Okay, which is a huge story. But if I go back a couple of years before that, honestly, my boyfriend at the time was a saint. I bled for 9 months. Wow. Every day. Like, I literally had a baby, but not, do you get what I mean? Like, literally every day for 9 months. And it was just by pure luck that I was eating so healthy and I was doing all the right things that I could maintain my hemoglobin. You know, I do feel that that impacted me later on, obviously dropping to the levels that I did, because it was only a couple of years earlier. And in, a few years earlier. And on that occasion, I actually had to have an operation on my womb again. So, you know, my periods have been awful. However, I want to be really honest. I always use Tampax and I always use towels. A bit like Maxine, I had to wear a Tampax and a towel. At my worst, through my 9 months of bleeding, I used to have to wear 2 towels, one really thick one, and then a thinner one underneath, because
anti-liner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Also, I'd have to wear a Super Plus Tampax as well, and I would go through it in about an hour, all of it.
Yeah, same as me.
And it was ridiculous. So, you know, 3 very different periods, 3 very different cycles, 3 very different. I mean, Maxine and I are kind of similar, but you know, I use Tampax, Maxine and Donna use towels, and the whole purpose why I wanted to bring this up this evening is there are chemicals that are placed on the Tampax and the towels. Obviously, the Tampax is worse because it goes up inside you.
And stays in there.
Yeah, you're right, darling. Yeah, absolutely. It literally sits in you.
Yeah.
What I have found out, I think it was about 2017, this knowledge, you know, and I started doing the research. Basically, there are chemicals in there which make you bleed more so that you buy more.
Doesn't surprise me.
Wow.
And this is when any disbelief that I had that the government were corrupt or that they didn't, you know, bearing in mind us girls have to pay, like, we don't choose to be girls, we have to pay for our own Tampax and all the rest of it, and they're bloody expensive
and they're not cheap.
No. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is there are women out there unknowingly, and men unknowingly, buying their daughters, their girlfriends, their partners, whatever, Tampax and towels because they just don't know. Now, I do know that there are some organic towels that are better than the normal ones that are in place. So I just want to let everybody know that. But what I use, and I know this is irrelevant for you two, but I know, Donna, obviously you've got a daughter, Maxine, you've got a daughter, and this knowledge just needs to go out. They need to share with their friends. I actually use something called a moon cup. Or it's a lunar cup, I'm not sure, whatever it's called, but it's basically a cup that you put up inside of you. Not easy to do, ladies. I'm going to manage expectations. When you first do it, you're going to be like, this hurts, this is uncomfortable, this is awful, like I'm having to put my fingers up, you know, like none of it's particularly nice, but at the end of the day, it literally just sits inside of you and captures it all. You know, and you can remove it, like you know, on a heavy day with me, I remove it like twice a day, which is nothing compared to what I used to have to change.
Oh God, yeah, what you're going through, yeah.
You know, so, and you know, my periods are very normal now, like, because I've done all the work to heal my wound, my periods are very normal. Like, I still have a 5-day period, I have a light day, but then I have 3 heavy days, or what I deem heavy days in the middle. So they're back to how they used to be consistently. But obviously that's me, that's my cycle. But this cup has literally been a game changer. And it's actually one of my girlfriends in Australia. I met up with her in Bali. It was my birthday and she bought me one for my birthday because she's super holistic. She's, you know, she's just a babe. She's just such a wonderful human. And she actually bought me one for my birthday. She was like, I know you haven't got one of these. So it's changed my life.
So where'd you get them from? Because they won't be in Asda, will they?
No, they won't be in Asda because, you know,
online, I would think, Luce, yeah.
Yeah, so I bought mine online. I've obviously bought a new one since then. You like they don't rot, they don't go. You just need to look after them. You just need to make sure that you keep them clean. So what I do is after I've used it for the month, I put it in a cup of boiling hot water, and then I'll like give it a good clean, and then I'll put it back in a cup of boiling hot water, and then I'll use some wipes on it. So you can buy wipes as well that clean it all properly. But what I do first is I just make sure that I get any of the bacteria or anything, you know, on like in a couple of boiling hot waters first. I mean, it comes with instructions how to clean it and stuff like that, and how to use it. But it is, I mean, I should have had it with me, shouldn't I, tonight? So that in fact, shall I see if I've got one?
I think people need to see it, to know what they're doing.
Pause, or shall I keep talking? Should we keep talking?
No,
let me just pause it real quick. Okay, so I've literally just paused this video so that I could run off to the bathroom, because we decided that it would be good for me to show you. Okay, so this is it. This is the cup. Can you see it? Okay, it might be better in front of my face so you can see it. So this is the bit that you basically pull out. There are some longer ones, but this is actually quite a short one. And this is just a moon cup. If you go on DuckDuckGo or Google or any of the search engines that you use, and you literally just put in moon cup or lunar cup, this is basically what it looks like.
That's brilliant.
Simple as that. And don't get me wrong, it's a bit difficult. So I actually have to fold it into 3 to be able to put it up. So you kind of have to do that, put it up, and then like allow it to kind of pop out, and then it sits. You know, it takes a bit of getting used to initially, but there is no freaking way I would let any child of mine or anybody that, like, literally, you know, people came on my retreats and I gave them all one, and they're like, I don't have periods anymore. I'm like, give it to your daughter. You know, because seriously, and there's no waste. There's no waste.
Yeah, see, that was a nightmare with sanitary towels.
Yeah, and they get clogged, and people put them down the toilet, and it's just,
God, and block the system.
Festers, and it's just so. Like, this is why last week when you started talking about periods, I was like, oh my God, we need to share this stuff, because who knows? Like, my best, what they're showing me right now is, like, they put on cigarettes, they put stuff to help the paper burn consistently. That's what they do with the Tampax and the towels. And it encourages you to bleed more, because then you buy more.
Yeah, that does make sense.
It does, doesn't it? When
Absolutely.
you actually stop and think about it and talk about it, it's just next level, isn't it?
Because mine were much worse when I used tampons. Much worse.
Makes total sense.
Yeah. But I would never have dreamed it was that.
Yeah, of course. Why would you?
You wouldn't, would you?
No.
I mean, back in the days when I used to use them, I would never have thought that anybody would have like done anything as detrimental as that. Like, it's
I would blame it on anything else. I would have said, oh, it's because I drank so much last night that I'm bleeding more today. No, and it was actually that. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's horrendous. But then if you look what the government's done, you know, this doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
Yes, right now this conversation will be well received, because people right? But if I had come out and done this 5 years ago, people would have been like, she's off her head.
I'm not sitting there putting a cup inside me. Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, you know, I'm very open. I you guys know, like, and I know I'm preaching to the converted here, but I share all about periods, all about poo.
Poo, yeah.
Like, not from my experience, because that would be a bit weird. But we need to normalize these subjects. We need to
agree.
You know, empower all of us to be stepping up and having these conversations. Everybody goes to the toilet. Everybody. You know,
you'd be amazed how many people I talk to, because I talk about poo.
Yeah.
Which I admit, I probably didn't talk about it before I met you two. But then you two talk about it all the time. I thought I'd better get in on this one, else I'm not in the groove again. But the amount of people that say, you know, oh, I'm all right, I go once a day, I'm regular.
Yeah.
Regular for what?
Yeah.
Because, you know, how many times do you eat then?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have a porridge in the morning and then I go. Right, and then do you not eat the rest of the day? Well, yes, but only go in the morning.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because, and honestly, I think it is something that's imprinted in their brain, because a lot of these are probably the same age as me, a bit older. Why would I go 3 times?
Yeah.
Because you've had 3 meals?
Yeah.
Do you want to sit in it?
She sounds like me. She's a perfect student, isn't she?
Yes, she is. But it's so true. I mean, from
all
someone
that time you thought I wasn't listening.
From someone that never went at all. I mean, I had periods in my life where I just didn't go. And I know now the root of the problem for me was going to work in corporate. And if I didn't go before I left in the morning, I didn't want to go at work. That was
the same as me.
So
because the toilet was in between 2 offices.
Yeah. I'd wait till I get home. And then, of course, by the time I get home,
Yeah,
I'd be in pain. I'd
Yourself.
be in pain, and quite often, like you say, I wouldn't be able to go at all.
Yeah,
you know,
that's how I was.
Bad. It's so bad. Now I just go 3 or
anywhere.
4 times a day.
Yeah.
But do you know what? And do you still care where you go? Because I don't.
No, I don't now. I don't now.
It's as simple as that. I just don't care because everybody does it.
Yeah.
But it's made to be so awful, because I remember going out with a guy and he stayed at my house for the first time.
Oh God.
And I put the radio on so he couldn't hear me. Open the windows, radio, and he was like, do you always have music on that loud? Just in the bathroom, love. Only in the bathroom. It's quiet everywhere else in the house. Because I was embarrassed at the noise.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to plop in the toilet. What's what I'm do? Do it in a newspaper, wrap it up so he has no idea that I poo. I'm just outside, love. Burying it.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's so interesting though, isn't it? It's, you know, like Donna, very similar to you. I didn't go for 2 weeks at a time. My
terrible.
Like when I would go, it would be so painful.
Yeah, me too.
Like that.
Yeah, me too. I can remember once being so constipated. It was just before we were going away on holiday, me and Barrett. It's before we had Mel. And I was in pain. The night before we went, I was really in pain. And I said to Barry, like, I hadn't been to the toilet for about a week, and I was in so much pain. And he said to me, you're gonna have to go to the doctors, because we can't go away tomorrow with you like this, because, you know, if in those days we didn't have, you know, you didn't have private insurance and stuff. We were worried about me getting ill out in wherever we were going. So I actually went, I'll never forget it. I went to ended up going to A&E because I had these pains. And I never forget it, because I was absolutely horrified. I was in a cubicle. Unfortunately, it was a Sunday morning and all the boys were in from football and rugby, you know, all in the cubicles around me. And I remember this lady saying to me, she said, right, you know, she did a couple of tests, so I won't go into those. And then she went off, they did a scan, they did an x-ray or a scan, I can't remember which. And she came back, and I remember her shouting at the top of her voice, yes, Mrs. Stockwell, you're constipated. And all I remember was all these people sniggering in all the other cubicles. And I remember thinking, I can't leave this cubicle now, so they all leave. I was so embarrassed. She said, you are so badly constipated, you know, and they, you know, gave me something which now I wouldn't take, but at the time I took it so that it would release it so I could go away on holiday with no pain.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, there are so many people out there like that. I'm going to drop my mum in it. My mum's the same. She is constipated constantly. The guy that I'm living with at the moment, he thinks that I'm the best thing since sliced bread, because he's going about 5-6 times a day.
Because you've changed his diet, right?
Because I've literally I've cut out the meat, I've cut out the sugar, you name it. Like, you know, and I want to be really honest with everybody out there, you know, when it comes down to digestion, and maybe we'll do a session, like a whole session on the stomach and our guts and things like that. We'll talk some more about poo, because
talk about guts.
But I was so angry, and most people are angry that have digestive issues. I want to be honest about that. It's all of our lower vibrational emotions: anger, resentment, guilt, frustration.
It's a really, really bad irritation, which is why they call it irritable bowel syndrome.
Absolutely.
Because you're irritated with so much stuff.
Absolutely, and you can't vent it, and you can't speak about it.
No,
you do vent it, but not in the right way. You're holding.
No, you vent it as in being horrible to someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rather than owning it, you know, and I just want to let everybody know, I went from going once every 2 weeks for a very long period of time, having hospital appointments constantly. I was in hospital. Now I go 3-4 times a day every day. And I only eat 2 meals a day. Just to let you guys know, I only eat 2 meals a day.
Yeah, me too.
Because I intermittent fast, and I go about 4 times a day.
Me too, Luce.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy.
And how much better does it feel? Well, not to be carrying that inside you.
I was just going to say that, because you were carrying it.
Yeah, and the toxins.
And you feel sluggish, you feel annoyed with everybody.
Yeah.
You get up and got up and stuck down there.
Yeah.
And that's what, so when I started going, it was such a relief. I would literally run out the door to work in the morning. People thought I was nuts.
But also,
and I wanted to shout, no, I've had a poo.
Releasing these toxins That's what it is. When it gets to the stage where you're supposed to excrete it, it is pure toxins.
Well, one thing I will say about that, because there's a lot of ladies in the menopause group who have this odour, and they all ask about it. Now, I used to have this odour. I couldn't figure out what it was. I could have, you know, beautiful shower, cover myself in body lotion, but I knew there was this odour within about 5 minutes. And it was because I wasn't going to the loo.
Yeah, of course.
It actually comes out in your pores. I don't mean you smell of poo, so don't think I'm telling everyone you stink of poo. No. But there is an odour. It comes out in your skin.
Yeah.
And it's not sweat. It's just this horrible, you don't feel clean. But once I started going to the loo properly, which did take a while. I mean, it took me a good year to get it to be regular. And I had to change a lot of things to do that. But yeah, it's the freedom and the fact that you don't have that horrible smell. But it's because it's all sitting there. It's waste.
Absolutely. I love that. So let's make a note. We'll do a session on gut health at some point.
Yeah, I think we should, definitely.
Digestive, because I think that's really useful. So everybody, please do comment below if you have found this useful. The fact that you've got some tips on periods and bras and bits and pieces like that. Do let us know below if you find this useful, because although we've been a little bit more serious this week than previous weeks, and next week we'll get back to really light-hearted. Yeah. I think this is a really, really exciting and interesting and topic of conversation that must be had at home. We must analyse this stuff. So I'm actually going to link back up to a video that I did with the gorgeous Morwenna yesterday. I think I filmed it, but it's gone out today, around her healing journey of her skin at my retreat. She's very, very kindly, openly and authentically shared her journey. So if you are really interested in healing, flip back, watch that video that will be just above here now, and we will catch you next week. Ladies, it's been my pleasure as always. I love you.
Me too.
The hour goes so quick, doesn't it?
I know. It does.
Right, well, see you later, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Take care.
Hit the thumbs up and subscribe.